And let's get a rolling. So, hey, what a flippity flop though. This is Stranger or Big Moose. And we're here with another Faultarian journal, even though it says Faultarian on the screen. And this is our third one, and we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna show some gameplay. We got a few topics to talk about. Act one's gonna be just us three. Act 2 and 3, we're gonna bring in the community, and we're gonna try to see if we can get some people talking about it. Awesome. So, Stephen
Hell yeah.
Chandler, please introduce yourselves as always.
Yo, 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 it's your boy, Steve, also known as S.A. Reed, the greatest crunch main you'll ever see.
Hey,
Yeah,
Silver, how are you today? And Chandler, please introduce yourselves.
yeah, it's Chandler. I play games.
Never done juice in his life.
Never, 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 never.
Awesome, awesome. So this time we tried to make it a bit more organized. So we got an Act 1. We're going to talk about a few things, give our opinions, of course. And then Act 2 and 3 is going to be later. So we're going to take like a 10-minute break. I'm going to keep it on. And then we also have an encore act. So technically like an Act 4 written down. But that's an unconfirmed act. It may or may not happen. Can't tell you until we're done Act 3. So what we're going to do is Act 1. We're going to be by ourselves. Act 2 and 3, you're going to see us in the Fault, in the Strange Matter Discord. Come join in and talk if you'd like to talk. Give your opinion. We got lots of stuff to talk about. We got a bit of gameplay to show, and so on and so forth. So, let's start with our first topic of OverPrime. And while that's going on, I'm going to put up some gameplay so people can watch something while we're talking.
Hell yeah. Overprime, the the traitorous domain. Uh, the hot topic.
Hang on, sorry about that. Awesome. So, I'm going to pull up my notebook. So, for everyone that doesn't know, there's a few companies making Paragon. Uh, yet, yeah, there's a few. And we have Overprime, Fault, the two biggest ones. We got Core by Metabuff. We got Predecessor by another company. Predecessor was in the running, but they've went pretty dark. There's Ethereal, which I've heard nothing about, and there was Phoenix Rising. I say was because it's been over a year since we heard anything, and they just kind of disappeared. So Core has unofficially announced, in a sense, that they plan on pulling an Apex Legends, and what Apex Legends did is it literally just dropped. It just out of nowhere. It was just on the PlayStation Store. So Core plans on doing something like that. Couldn't tell you anything about Ethereal. Predecessor, I don't know. So basically, the only Paragon remake that the community can play at this very second, I gotta pull up the chat on my phone. 1 second. Is Overprime. So I reluctantly gave it a shot the other day because we are talking coronavirus and who. So I played it first time ever, and I'm gonna be honest. I have a really hard. I'm gonna give a really right wing opinion on here, and Fault is better. I know some people are gonna disagree with me, but I think it is. Uh, I hope Overprime has all the success it has, and I hope it turns into something that is super fantastic. But I'm here to play a Paragon remake that evolves past the remake portion and becomes its own third person MOBA that the community loves and enjoys, and that's what I want to be a part of. And for me, Overprime was just not that. Number one, the server issue. I never thought so. At first, everyone knows about the server issue with Overprime, right? They don't have servers. You have to direct connect. First off, I ain't giving up my IP to no one. Ever. Ever. Downloading it was a hassle. I literally felt like I was giving away my credit card information when I unzipped it with WinRAR. Of course, that's not how it actually is. Um, so there was that. So that was like the two. And then the server thing, I didn't think it would be a big deal until I started playing and I was having queue times of like 20 minutes because I'd try to connect to someone who had like a VPN up, because some people were doing that through the OverPrime Discord, and then the lobby would drop. Okay, so then we'd do it again, and then the lobby would drop again, and the lobby would drop again, and then the lobby would drop again, and then we would choose our roles in game, and then the lobby would drop, or someone would leave mid game, but someone can join, so that's pretty cool. And if I'm not mistaken, I know Chandler tuned in, so he saw a bit of Overprime, and I don't know if Steve did. So what is your
Yeah, I
guys'
saw some.
opinion? Okay, what is your guys' opinion on Overprime off the little bit that you've seen?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I okay. So first off, that trailer that they got is fire. That's an awesome trailer. It got me hyped for the game. Unfortunately, yeah, like I tuned into your stream. I've seen some other videos, some other streams of Overprime.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I mean, it looks very, very immature right now. It looks very unpolished and uncompleted. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so is Fault. It's not far along in the completed process, but it's kind of it was weird. Like it felt kind of like misleading, like the way that
Mm-hmm.
they got that trailer looking awesome and made it look so much further ahead because I saw it and it almost like because that was always like the meme, right? It was the idea of like, well, just give us the legacy map, but with monolith speed, and that's kind of what it looked like. The gameplay looked really fast, it looked really fun, it looked really hectic, and I don't know, just watching your stream and hearing about all the difficulties of actually playing it, it felt less serious than what Strange Matter is doing with Fault.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think that Fault is definitely
They're
a
definitely
bit.
ahead.
Yeah, I think they're a bit more ahead
Yeah.
between the two, but I definitely think it's Overprime is the biggest competitor with Fault right now. So
Mm-hmm.
be interesting to see how that evolves.
Yeah, and it's not like Overprime doesn't have a chance. Like anyone that like Fault obviously is in the lead, and if there's any developer watching, congratulations, you guys stole my heart a few months ago. I'm a Fault fan. I think my opinion's a little bit biased, unfortunately, because I, the, to change my opinion about Fault, it would take a great deal. Um, but Overprime does still obviously have a chance to get somewhere. Like they have a more active player base, for example, right now. Uh, because you're able to play the game, even if there is no servers, even though it's clunky and the anti-aliasing is on the maximum it can be. Because if you actually take it off, it looks you can like see in between the pixels. It's kind of weird. Um, Chandler, do you have any opinion on this?
So, I mean, the biggest thing I found just watching it, I don't know. I personally was never really a fan of Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So, just purely like, I know there's a lot of people who are genuinely just playing that game and championing it because they prefer the Legacy map. And I mean, like, everyone's going to have their preference, but I don't know, just from where the game is right now, personally, it doesn't make any sense to me that they are going out of their way to add more characters and try to start making their own monolith map. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just feels like there's so many other things you could be doing to complete your game where instead they're just allocating resources in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good to have so many companies making pretty well like a Paragon-esque game because it forces everyone to put out the best content possible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I definitely think Overprime being a thing and it being as sort of like attempting to go as quick as they are, it's kind of helping Strange Matter kind of pull their socks up and
Oh well, with
get
any
good content out.
business, competition is only good
Yeah.
for maybe not for the actual business itself, but it's good for everything else because it usually elevates the quality of stuff. Because each company, combats each other in their own way, indirectly usually. And
Yeah,
you,
so
you
I mean, like, who knows? Like, maybe like the version of the game they have released just for testing is literally an unfinished, and they do have a more polished version that they're keeping back right now. But again, just from what I've seen between Fault and Overprime, I mean, definitely without playing either of them, I would prefer to play Fault.
yeah, my big okay. I'm gonna and Steve mentioned this too. The OverPrime trailer is so damn good. Like that
I
is the kind of
screamed when I saw it.
I
It
literally
looked amazing.
the hairs literally stood up. Like I got goosebumps watching that trailer. Like it was so good. It was an ode to the original beta release trailer for Paragon, and it was just awesome. Um, and then I played the game, and well, it's kind of like like when you go to McDonald's and you look at a picture of the Big Mac on the wall or in an advertisement, and it looks fantastic, and then you actually
Yeah.
get the Big Mac, and you're like, "What the fuck, man? This don't look like the picture." Like that's
Yeah.
what Overprime felt like to me. You
Yeah.
know what I
I
mean?
mean, that's what is standing out most about Fault to me is because listen, I mean, you, me, Chandler, we can all agree to it. I think we got kind of messed around with by Epic when it came to Paragon. I mean, they always tried to be super transparent, but I don't think any of us really saw them closing the servers coming.
Hmm.
A lot of changes they made, promises that were never kept. I it's a lot of stuff that made me very skeptical. So like when Fault is looking the way it does, and there's all this community interaction, and it's so easy to actually play, and there's timeline and all this kind of stuff, it makes me feel very, I guess, comfortable with Strange Matter, as opposed to with Overprime. Like I don't even know what the company is. I don't know who's associated with it, and already the fact that that trailer doesn't reflect what can actually be played, I think is just a bit of a head scratcher, and it kind of makes me a little anxious heading forward with it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, obviously you're allowed to do whatever you want, but it's the exact same thing with that Big Mac. Like you get to a certain point where like as a capitalistic consumer, you know that a lot of the time things are a little too good to be true, especially in advertising. So I think the fact that my heart was played with a little bit has kind of just left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, um, and I think gives a few more points to Fault,
Hmm.
just in my head.
I just like, and besides the server issue, so besides the fact that I was raging because the lobby kept dropping, and I kept having to uh, put someone's IP in the game. Um, Once I got in the game, just like how clunky it was. Like I remember one time, and it was like a really good. So I'm like, I usually play a support, like that's what I do, and I play a lot of Narbash and Decker. Decker's in none of the was not an Alpha 3 weekend. It is not in Overprime at the moment, so a lot in Narbash. And I remember jumping, and I did like just for shits and gigs, I did like kind of like a 360 jump stun, and like I literally was like, man, I missed, like because obviously I thought I missed. And I'm kind of gassing myself a bit by saying this, but then I realized afterwards that I actually didn't miss. I hit the hero, but I didn't know because like the thunk like disappeared, and then the person was just stunned. And like, and not only that, like if you're used to Paragon, and like you play like a lot in Arbash, you know that his thunk goes at a certain speed and it has like a certain motion. And then when you play Overprime, I feel like it's stopping like a clock midair and it just keeps turning every hour. And it was really weird to me because it really, it's just something you just gotta adjust to, of course, but it was just really weird because I could feel the frames dropping in between just throwing my Q ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was playing Greystone, and okay, sorry, I was playing Greystone. Number one, I had to play him in the jungle because my team was just not cooperating, so that's where I ended up. I killed one mini camp, had to go back. That kind of triggered me. Um, and I remember not being able to use like my circle, like my Q, because it just wasn't working with the button bindings like at all. So I had to fix it, didn't work. Fix it, didn't work. And then it ended up happening that every time I used a basic, I was also using my Q, which worked fine. After like 20 minutes into the game, it just fixed itself. Like I didn't do anything. So that was kind of good. But like I was just like, what? What do you mean I can't use my Q? Like I'm hitting the Q button. Like why aren't you working? And that was kind of frustrating. And that was also a bad game. So that irritated me. Yeah, but the biggest thing that I really wish, and Chandler is the one that mentioned this, that kind of scares me about Overprime. I understand it's an alpha. I understand they have a different business model than Strange Matter does, uh, and that they're going more for aesthetic first, gameplay later kind of thing was what it seems like. To where Strange Matter is the opposite. But what worries me is that just recently they released their like Trello page. If you looked at it, I should probably bring it up because I
Yeah,
haven't
that'd be a good
seen
idea.
it. Fault will be amazing, Psych. You got to believe in them. Trust me on this one. Yeah, let's see if we can bring up their Trello page. We'll just hop into their Discord. Nee, 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 nee. Okay, it has to be up here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Found it. Yeah, so when you pull up their Trello page, and this is new, this is pretty new. You can see like they got the connection to listen to server hosts. So they're trying to fix some kind of server thing, even though they don't have servers. Trying to fix the lobby manager, online servers eventually. And then they got all this, which is a lot. And the big thing that I don't like about this is nowhere on this do I see fix make the game feel smoother and more like Paragon, like or even just make it feel just more like a AAA game. I can't even read that. I don't know what that says. I'm just assuming those are hero characters, but I don't see any of that anywhere. I just see a bunch of okay, we're gonna make this aesthetic look better. We're gonna make Monolith. We're gonna add more characters. Like everyone wants a character, but no one wants to play a character that can't run properly and uses abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm kind of worried about their direction that they're taking because I don't. Oh, there's some optimization right here. Look at that. Optimize screen particle asset loadout. Ooh, maybe there's something. The game isn't very fun to play. Like it's just the best thing we got at this moment for Paragon, so of course people are gonna play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really a task to make. Well, if it's not a task, Silver, then it should be better. Like where there's no excuse if it's not easy. Like I'm gonna say that I know nothing about programming, nothing about game design. I got nothing. I got a communications degree. I understand what it means to be a marketing person. That's it. That's all I know. So if I'm going off what you just said, Silver, there, if it's not hard, then why isn't it a thing? Like, because that's one of the big thing. Like, yeah, you're getting people to hop on the game because you had the best trailer I've seen in the past year, but you didn't. But like, what? You're not retaining your players because you don't have your servers. And I understand it's an alpha, and they're kind of going instead of like closed testers, they're going more with public testers. And that's technically what we are when you play OverPrime. But that is really showing like the difference, I guess, and that's why I think is the biggest reason Fault is ahead. Because I don't know if anyone knows about Strange Matter. Strange Matter did the same thing Overprime did. Tootie, thank you for following, and Psych, thank you for following in as well. I really appreciate it.
Hey.
I'm just gonna mention it now. Act 2 and 3. We're gonna be bringing in. Hang on, I just heard something else. Hang on. I'm gonna have to check. I gotta check. I heard some other noise, but it didn't tell. Oh, I don't see anything else.
You got another follow.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for the other follower. I don't know who it was. I see Psycho and Tutil. Anywho, thank you for the follows, guys. I really appreciate it. So, as I was saying, lost my train of thought. So, if anyone knows anything about Strange Matter, they dropped the game, just the same thing as Overprime, except without a trailer. They just said, here's a game. We've been making this
Yeah.
for a while. You know, people are like, what? So, like, think about it this way: Strange Matter has the largest following, has had the most like public alphas. Well, not really, because Overprime is you can play it anytime you want. Um, and
Well, you got to connect and then you can play it, but I
Yeah,
digress.
they didn't drop a trailer. They didn't do anything. They didn't even have a Discord, I don't think, at the time. And they just said, "Here you go, play it." Uh, and then for it to go from basically no one knowing about it besides like maybe Ryan Red because he was a part of it right away, and he was a big guy in Fault, so that's someone you want on your team. Sorry, Psycho. I definitely don't speak German. Most small teams just focus on implementing things first, then over time they tweak the game and steadily improve it. OverPrime is not at that stage. Hmm. Overprime's not at that stage, but they plan on releasing it on Steam. I remember seeing that a part of their Trello page somewhere. Okay. Anywho, just
Because like, what you don't want your game to be played by Critical on YouTube as one of his yeah, he just like plays really shitty looking games,
yeah.
and it's just funny. You don't want your game to become that, especially with like the Paragon assets and shit.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I guess that's like something that you really need to think about. Like, that's what Fault definitely has over them, and like Fault isn't even in its final form. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's not in its
they're
final
still
form.
polishing that. If you think about what Paragon was when it ended, I mean, obviously these companies are nowhere near the scope of Epic Games, but
Not yet.
like
Well,
in comparison between Fault and Overprime, like I think it just completely blows Overprime out of the water right now. Like it just doesn't look like a lot of fun to watch. Like I was watching the stream for a bit and it's like, I don't know.
yeah. Uh, yeah. It just and I'm just saying my opinion. I was not impressed with the game. I know some people prefer it. Some people just prefer legacy map, and that's a big thing. And it's also playable. You know what I mean? And it's also free. Like early access is not going to be free. It's going to cost you a bit of money. But that's what every company does for EA. So to don't go up with your swords and pitchforks over a bit of money, because that's like how it is. The full release for Fault does plan on being free. Same thing happened with Paragon, and but yeah, I think that's going to be it. So people that really aren't willing to pay that money and just want to play something now and prefer Legacy is going to be that. But I do want to mention this point. Uh, Strange Matter have said it's a part of their roadmap as well that they are adding another map. I'm going to be honest, guys. If you think that's not Legacy, you're nuts. It's going to be Legacy. Like Legacy's coming to Fault now. It's probably going to be in another 400 days before that ever happens, but it's happening. You know what I mean? It's not even really on their mind yet, but it's going to happen. It'll be there sometime after full release, whenever that is. Because, yeah. So, overall, Chandler, what do you think?
Yes.
Do you think we're just going to try to make it really black and white here? Over prime or fault? And a
Well,
quick
fault
reason
obviously,
why.
and the mindset is just prioritizing what is actually important in the development of the game right now. And so when you look at two different studios, because I'm even thinking like outside of just where the games are at right now, when you look at a studio and they're just trying to push content, push content, push content, it's extremely reminiscent of like Epic towards the end, where they were constantly changing the game, constantly adding things, and that was the death of it. So when you don't have a concrete like plan and you aren't just optimizing quality of life things,
Hmm.
and like that obviously isn't at the forefront because nobody wants to like take the time aside to just make a character animation smooth. It's like, oh well, people would rather a new character rather than have a good looking game or a nice smooth running game where I don't know, especially this early, if you're looking for people to fund and you want to expand your game at all, like I don't know, nobody wants another unfinished character in an unfinished game. So
I
just
just
with how Fault is doing it and their process, like obviously it's a little more reminiscent of earlier Paragon days because they are
Hmm.
following basically same thing Paragon did. And as it stands, obviously Fault looks a lot better right now than Paragon ever did
Hmm.
in early access. But
Hmm.
that's just a symptom of having all those
Yeah.
assets
And I
at their
actually,
disposal.
I just wanted to respond to the chat because I just see a few comments. PS4. Everyone wants to play Paragon or, sorry, Fault on PS4. Everyone wants it to get there. Uh, the reality is it has to succeed on PC before it succeeds on PS4. So it's going to happen. As long as Fault is successful, it is going to happen, and it is a part of the roadmap. But it's going to be for full release, or maybe we'll say 2 months after that. So full release is anywhere from November of this year to February of 2021. So I know that's a long gap, but you just got to think about it this way: Sony is not going to let you put a shit game on the PlayStation Store, right?
They might.
Unless you're Activision
They might.
or Gearbox, because
Yeah.
Battleborn was released once upon a time,
Fuck.
and it basically funded Borderlands 3. But yeah, it will. Does Fall have an
Game will
office?
never
I,
die.
I don't know if they have an office. I do know the founders, the majority of the founders, are located in Montreal, Quebec, in Canada, which is also the epicenter of the coronavirus in Canada, because we're all Canadians here too. Uh, me, Steve Chandler. Uh, but I know that they have people from all over. So I don't think they have an office, but I'm sure I'm sure there will be one in the future. Okay, and yeah, Steve, do you want to say anything more about Fault versus Overprime? Just make it very black and white.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're both MOBAs. They're both using the sweet and sexy Paragon assets. Um, and they know what kind of people are going to play the game. In the beginning, it's going to be the people that played Paragon, but you need to grow past it. Like, I mean, keep in mind, Epic got rid of it because in their minds it wasn't growing. So, like, you need to be making a game that's going to develop beyond a certain point. Now, if the people making Overprime are making something that they don't want it to get super big, okay, that's fine. But I feel like Fault have at least showed that they want to take it really far.
Yeah,
Um,
Fault wants to be the next Riot Games or Strange Matter. Like that's very clear. That's their plan. And
yeah.
Riot Games, of
So
course, made League of Legends. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what they want to do.
I think Fault currently right now has the biggest promise. If you're thinking about them as MOBAs trying to do what a MOBA does, and that's keep people playing your game.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I prefer Fault. Simple as that. So let's move on to the next topic, which is. We'll just pull up the screen right fast.